In today's class, we are going to begin with types of chemical reactions. And the first type of chemical reaction is the combination reaction. A reaction in which two or more elements or compounds react to form one new compound. So this is called a combination reaction, in which small molecules, they come together to form one large molecule. Okay, so some examples. The first one, calcium oxide, that is CaO, Ca for calcium, O oxygen, calcium oxide, which is solid, reacts with water, that is liquid, to form calcium hydroxide, that is aqueous solution. Aqueous solution means a solution in water is called an aqueous solution. So this is also called as quicklime. Quicklime reacts with water to form, this is also called as slaked lime. Okay, the equation or the reaction here is balanced. Okay, so we take a note over here. So as we see, two compounds, they are reacting together to form one new compound. So this is a combination reaction. So note, a solution of slaked lime is used for whitewashing walls. Calcium hydroxide reacts slowly. So when we whitewash the walls, basically in simple language we say that chuna jab lagate hai. So what happens is, when we whitewash the walls with calcium hydroxide, what happens is that calcium hydroxide on the wall, they react with atmospheric carbon dioxide, and as it reacts with atmospheric carbon dioxide, it forms a limestone, that is CaCO3. So calcium hydroxide reacts slowly with carbon dioxide in air to form a thin layer of calcium carbonate on the walls. Calcium carbonate is formed after 2 to 3 days of whitewashing, and it gives a shiny finish to the walls. That is why we whitewash the walls with slaked lime. So what happens in the reaction is that calcium hydroxide, which is aqueous in nature, CaOH2, this reacts with carbon dioxide in atmosphere, that is a gas, to form calcium carbonate which is a solid, and releases water, that is liquid. So this is calcium carbonate. It's not important to write down the names so that you remember. CO3, like we discussed, is carbonate. Ca is calcium, so calcium carbonate. Ca is calcium, OH is hydroxide, so this is calcium hydroxide. Okay. Another note is that CaCO3 is also the chemical formula for marble. Okay, so the reactions I am mentioning in the lecture are the reactions that are important in your syllabus. The second reaction is burning of coal. Coal is basically carbon. This reacts with oxygen. Carbon, a solid, reacts with oxygen, a gas, to form carbon dioxide, that is also a gas. So in this reaction, what happens is heat is released. It's a burning. So when something burns, heat is released. So check. And the last example, formation of water. So hydrogen gas and oxygen gas, they react to form water, that is a liquid. So H2O1, O2 is here, so we put 2 over here, 2 ones are 2. So in the process we made hydrogen 4, so we put 2 over here, hydrogen 4, oxygen 2, hydrogen 4, oxygen 2. So reaction is balanced. So in all this reaction we see that heat is released. So oxygen, basically reaction with oxygen is a combustion reaction. So reaction of hydrogen with oxygen releases heat. So whenever we see that a reaction is accompanied by the release of heat, we call that the reaction is an exothermic reaction. So we take another note. So reactions in which heat is released along with formation of products are called exothermic reactions. Exo means outside, thermic means which releases heat. So release of heat, a reaction which is accompanied by release of heat is called exothermic reaction. Some examples of exothermic reaction. One, when a natural gas is burnt. Natural gas is nothing but methane, that is CH4. So remember these names, whatever names there is being mentioned, like quicklime, slackline, methane, natural gas. So natural gas or methane basically denotes CH4. So this burning means a reaction with oxygen. So CH4 reacts with oxygen. So CH4 is a gas, reacts with oxygen, that is another gas, to form carbon dioxide, which is a gas, and water, that is another gas. So since here this is an exothermic reaction, so as heat is released, water gets converted into steam. So this is in the presence of gas. It acts like gas over here. Okay. Another exothermic reaction is respiration. So we know that respiration is accompanied by release of energy, because ATP is released, and another also is that this respiration helps in keeping the body temperature optimal, that is 37 degrees centigrade. That is taking place with the help of respiration, because in the respiration heat energy is also released. So the reaction for respiration, glucose, the food that we eat are mostly carbohydrates whose simple form is glucose. This is an aqueous form, reacts with oxygen that we breathe in to produce carbon dioxide. Aqueous releases water, liquid, and energy. So this is accompanied by release of energy, hence it is an exothermic reaction. And the third example, the decomposition of vegetable matter into compost is another example of exothermic reaction. So this note is from here till here. So this is what exothermic reactions are. Okay. So the second type of reaction that we're going to learn is the decomposition reaction. A chemical reaction in which a single chemical compound decomposes into two or more simpler substances. This is quite like the opposite of our combination reaction. In combination reaction, small molecules like one or two, they come together to two of them, they come together to form one single compound. And in decomposition reaction, one compound, it breaks down into two or more simpler compounds or elements. So this is what a decomposition reaction is. So let's look at some examples. Number one, when ferrous sulfate, a solid, basically ferrous sulfate is powder, is heated, what happens is Fe2O3 is formed with release of sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide gas. This is ferric oxide. This is ferrous sulfate. So ferrous sulfate is generally present in crystal form. They are generally present as ferrous sulfate crystals, that is FeSO4.7H2. It combines with a specific amount of water to form crystals. So this is generally present in crystals. When we heat it, generally water evaporates and this ferrous sulfate is converted into ferric oxide, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. So this reaction is accompanied by absorption of heat energy. So this is a decomposition reaction where one compound is breaking down into small simpler compounds. Second example, calcium carbonate solid when heated produces calcium oxide and along with this carbon dioxide gas is released. So this calcium carbonate is basically limestone like we saw earlier. Calcium carbonate is also the formula for marble, and calcium oxide is quicklime, and CO2 is carbon dioxide. Okay. The third one, PbNO3, that is lead nitride, to a solid when heated. This is basically lead powder. So when heated, it forms lead oxide, PbO, that is also solid in nature. With this releases nitrogen dioxide gas and oxygen gas. So this also one compound is breaking down into smaller compounds. So this is a decomposition reaction. So in all these three, we see in common that this decomposition reaction is carried out by heating. So the decomposition reaction carried out by heating is called thermal decomposition. Okay. Some more examples, not of thermal decomposition but the other type. So this example we are taking is of water. So in water, when electric current is passed on passing electric current, we see that hydrogen and oxygen is formed. So 2H2O gives 2H2 plus O2. So this decomposition reaction is carried out by electric current, and so it is also called as electrochemical reaction. Okay. So in this, we'll understand this with the help of a diagram. Say we have a beaker. In this beaker, we have two inverted test tubes. Inside which we have rods of graphite. So this is a beaker. Inside we have, okay, so a beaker. This one is our graphite rod. I'm marking it this side. This we have taken inverted test tubes. Inside we have water and in the beaker also we have water. So here we have acidified water. Now there is a rubber stopper over here so that the water doesn't come out of the hole that is there at the bottom. So this is a rubber stopper, and through this one we are connecting basically a battery. See, this is a 6-volt battery. So this is a key. So now current is passing through this. So the left one is called the anode and this one is called the cathode. Okay. This is actually a process of electrolysis which we'll be learning in detail in the 3rd chapter. For now, you just need to remember that water, when it decomposes, it forms H2 and O2, where hydrogen is double as compared to that of oxygen. That is why one test tube has more gas and the other test tube has less gas. So this one with the more gas has hydrogen in it, and this one with less air has oxygen in it, because oxygen that is produced is half of that of hydrogen. So here the decomposition is carried out by passage of electric current and is called electrochemical decomposition. Okay, the next type of decomposition reaction we're going to see is AgCl, that is silver chloride solid. Ag is silver, Cl is chlorine, so silver chloride. This, in presence of sunlight, it decomposes to give silver a solid, and with that chlorine gas. Another example of the same type of reaction where sunlight plays the role in decomposition is AgBr. Similar type of reaction takes place in this as well, where sunlight decomposes AgBr into 2Ag and bromine gas is released. So both these reactions are carried out by in the presence of sunlight. So note, first thing is that the above two reactions is used in black and white photography. This is also another very much asked questions. What happens in black and white photography? So at that time you need to write these two reactions. And in this type of reaction, the decomposition is carried out by sunlight. So when a decomposition reaction is carried out by light, it is called photochemical decomposition. Okay, so now in this all reactions, we saw that these reactions require heat, or they take in heat for the reaction to be carried out, or they require electric current or sunlight. So they require some form of energy, they absorb some form of energy for completion of reactions. So we note with this that the reactions in which energy is absorbed are known as endothermic reactions. So these reactions are progressed with the absorption of energy, hence are called endo, meaning inward, and thermic meaning energy. So endothermic reaction. Okay. The third type of reaction is the displacement reaction. In displacement reaction is a chemical reaction in which an element or a radical has replaced another element in a compound. Okay. To understand displacement reaction properly, we need to learn the reactivity series of metals. So the activity or the reactivity series of metals. So it goes like this. And after this we have okay, so this is the, as we are going down, what happens is decreasing reactivity, and upwards is increasing reactivity. So the highest is that of potassium, and the lowest activity or reactivity is of platinum. Okay, so let's look at some examples and understand this. So first example, iron, it reacts with copper sulfate solution. Basically, if you put a iron object inside copper sulfate, you will observe that iron, the color will change, because iron reacts with copper sulfate to form FeSO4, and along with copper is displaced. So iron, see, iron and copper. Iron is above copper in the series. So as this is above copper, so iron is more reactive. As iron is more reactive than copper, iron will displace copper from its place, take copper's place, FeSO4, and copper will become singled out. So this is a displacement reaction. Second reaction is zinc reacts with copper sulfate to form zinc sulfate, and copper is released. So in this also, as we see, zinc is more reactive than copper. Since zinc is more reactive, zinc can displace copper from its place, and it takes place of copper, forms zinc sulfate, and copper is again removed. Third, we are taking lead as an example. Lead reacts with copper chloride, an aqueous solution, to produce PbCl2 aqueous, plus copper is released. Again, lead is more reactive than copper, so lead can displace copper from its salt. Okay, I'll explain this with some more examples. Say, fourth example, say zinc is reacting with sulfuric acid, H2SO4. So zinc, when it reacts with sulfuric acid, see, we have hydrogen here, zinc here. So zinc is more reactive than hydrogen. Hydrogen lies below zinc. Sorry, this is Hg, this is hydrogen. So hydrogen lies below zinc. So zinc is more reactive. So zinc, being more reactive, will remove hydrogen from its place. So it forms a ZnSO4 aqueous, and with this hydrogen gas is released. So this is another example of displacement reaction. It need not always be copper. Anything above in the reactivity series will remove anything that is below in the reactivity series. Fifth one, say we have copper reacting with ZnSO4 aqueous. Okay, so copper and zinc. So copper is below zinc, so copper is less reactive. A lesser reactive metal will not be able to remove a more reactive metal from its salt. So copper will not be able to remove zinc. So here no reaction will take place. You can also be asked questions like this where there will be no reaction. So do learn this reactivity series so that you can understand what is more reactive, what is lesser reactive, and accordingly we can perform displacement reaction. So that will be it for today's class. Thank you.